Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to H Podcast Nation. Welcome to patreon.com/H Podcast Nation, the home of the big debate. And we're back for episode number 6. We have touched on some heavy subjects in the opening few episodes, and that won't change again this evening. Reese is still ill, bless him. Best wishes to him. So he is adequately replaced by none other than Robert Boyle. How are you, mate?
I'm very good, mate. On top form tonight, son. Looking forward to it. Be good.
Just raring to get involved in the big debate, and it's going to be a good one, mate, as well. Bit of death penalty and capital punishment generally. I think there's some stuff to discuss.
My favorite kind.
It's but we touched, like, obviously you've seen them, but like we've talked about like all sorts of subjects, like some of them a bit heavier than others, and I think we've done pretty well. Like I thought last week's one, I can't remember what we talked about. Assisted like end of life. I thought it was quite an interesting conversation, like, and thought we made some good points and stuff. So it'd be nice to have a good old chin wag, as it were. So yeah, we'll go about 59 minutes. We'll have a good old natter. We'll make some points. We'll have some opinions and see where we are. See where we sit at the end. Cade is in the house. Welcome, Cade. So Rob, I will let you open up the discussion with where do you stand, or what's your opinion on like capital punishment as a whole?
Oh, is that the new question?
Yeah.
Oh, right. So you can follow up with something.
Yeah, I want to know what's your like general like, where do you stand on it? Just capital punishment.
Oh, I'm all over it, but do you know what I would want though? I mean, this is never going to happen in a million years, but I would love a purge day for people, right, where you've been convicted of something. Say you've been convicted of a proper dirty, stinky crime, like a rapist or pedo or something like that, murder. You know, the world's your oyster. Go with whatever you want. And I think that I would love to have like a day where you can, like, these people are like signposted, you know who these guys are or whatever, and they're allowed to just a bit like what's that program or film called, when like basically Survivor, basically. So like, you know, these nonsense and rapists and murderers or whatever, right, they've been given 24 hours to survive effectively, and every man and his dog are fucking after you. So you've got 24 hours, you know where they are, they've got like a big ass sign on them or something like that, and you catch all of them and you can do whatever the fuck you want to them, like beat the fuck out of them, like, you know, teabag them if you really want to. Like, do you know what I mean? Just go to town, like literally do whatever the fuck you want to do to them, and you got 24 hours to do it, and then after that, then it's, you know, it's done. You've had your time, and then you see you again next year, sort of thing, if you survive. So it's a bit like Survivor, bit like Hunger Games as well. Oh, I just clicked. That'd be even better. Hunger Games for them. All these people, just stick them in like a Bargain Mountain, for example, corner it off, and let them, and like got cameras on them and all that, and you put weapons down for them, just let them shoot fuck out of each other, and last man standing. Brilliant.
Yeah, I think like the thing is though, mate, right, with anything like we all agree that like if people have done a murder or a crime against kids or like rape and stuff like that, like we'd all be up for having capital punishment and whatever, like, or purge days, or like we'd all be up for that as a punishment. Everyone would be. I think the problem is there's just no way to prove comprehensively that someone is 100% guilty in most cases.
Why can't you do a lie detector test then?
A live what?
Lie detector test.
Because you can beat them, so they're not foolproof. Like, they're not.
Well, you're telling me you could beat like?
Well, I don't think I could beat them, but you can.
No. But
there's
like
ways to beat them quite easily. Like in fact, I would go as far to say that if I really studied it and fucking spent time practicing and whatever, I reckon I could have a good go at it. But I don't. I'm not prepared for it. I don't think I could do it. But then
I suppose if you're that warped and you don't believe you're in the wrong, I suppose you deep.
Well, this is the problem, isn't it? It's like you're dealing with sociopaths who haven't got the same.
I've argued with myself again, which I always fucking do.
Like they haven't put people who can do certain things. They haven't got the same emotions that like. So me and you, right? Say you done a like a lie detector. It's your emotions which would show you up, isn't it? So like if you had done something, or if someone's like cheated on a partner or something, it's the emotions which catch you up, like, and give you away, because you get nervous or you get, oh shit, do they know? Whereas a sociopath or a psychopath, they haven't got that issue.
That's very true. Yeah.
And I just think if you've got a lie detector test, like if anyone can beat it, even if it's like a small percentage of people who are capable of beating it, then it's not foolproof, which creates the same problem. So say, like you said, right, for crimes against children, we're going to bring back hanging or lethal injection or whatever, like, right? Say that was the case in the UK. It takes one person to like be wrongly convicted and executed.
Yeah.
And then it's fucked, isn't it? It's the whole system's fucked, like, because over the years, even just in Cardiff, mate, how many people in recent years, and like when I say recent, in the like last 50 years, how many people have been released or had their convictions quashed because they were wrongly convicted? So you think like all those people, there was the guys like John Actie and the Cardiff 5 or whatever it was, they were in jail for murder and whatever, and then it turned out it was, the police was corrupt or whatever, and it was they'd done nothing wrong, but like because of that crime and what it was, under the kind of things we're talking about, they would have been executed. But once you've been executed, there's no coming back. And I think there lies the problem, and it's a very difficult problem to get around, isn't it? Because unless something is witnessed and seen and like videoed or something, like, and you can see the person clearly, and then even then, like, what happens if, say, you got caught right on CCTV, like clear, 4K video of you killing someone, right? Oh, like Rob Boy, he's definitely done it. We got a video of him doing it. Like, there's no getting away from it. He definitely did it, right? Okay, but then in the court case, it's like you reveal that, oh yeah, this guy said that he was gonna, kill my family if I didn't do this, and he was just off screen telling me exactly what to do with a gun to my, family's head or whatever. 99.9% of people, if they're in that position, that hypothetical, which I just put you in, are going to do anything they can to save their family, isn't they? Even if they don't want to do it, they're going to do it. And I think it's just like a never-ending rabbit hole of, similar to the thing like with the assisted suicide, like I was saying to Reese towards the end of last week's show, like no matter what scenario one of us would put up, you can kind of like go into it and say, well, what about this, what about that, and before you know it, you're in, like, you hit a dead end or you hit a block on why it wouldn't work. And I think capital punishment will always fall in that, because for every reason why we think there should be capital punishment, I think you can always find a reason or a way that it fails, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that completely. Okay, to add to that then, what about, and to be fair, this is as concrete as you probably can be, those pedo hunters, the do the messaging and things like that, can there be something? Well, surely that's as clear cut as you could possibly get it. that if some nonce is messaging back and they know fully well this person who's 10 to 12, for example, and they message them saying derogatory terms and sexual things like that, surely that's as cut and dry as you can possibly get.
It is, but technically, and I say this, it is a technicality, but like technically, all they are being charged with is sending explicit content to a minor, or like I say all, but you know what I mean. Like they haven't been charged with actually hurting anyone. So like,
but isn't it
say your rules is say the rules are for for capital punishment, you've got to be convicted of these crimes. Like it's a very the reason I say it. Look, I don't disagree, because in a lot of those cases, the people who they're catching are arranging or think that they're meeting children or young teenagers or whatever. So God, we all know what they're going to do or what they're hoping to do, and for every one of them who does it and leaves and whatever, and leaves the person or child to pick up the pieces, there's also a psychopath out of them who will kill him afterwards as well, because that's just the sort of depraved cunts they are. But I think it's a rocky road that if you start convicting people and executing people for things that you think they're going to do or they say they're going to do, because a lot of people maybe will say, well, I said I was going to do X, Y, and Z to my missus, in terms like I was going to fuck her brains out and I was going to do this and that and that and that. But then it didn't happen or whatever. Like we were just caught up in the moment and we said certain things. Like if you start convicting people for what they say they're going to do and not what they actually do, I think it's a rocky road in terms of how, and I say that not because I want to stick up for those people, because they're fucking horrible cunts. But what I mean by it is, once you've done it, say you brought in a rule, right, which said if you talk about that stuff and you say you're going to do that stuff, and then you arrange to meet someone who's underage and stuff like that, then you're going to, even though it was a setup or whatever, you can be convicted, executed or whatever. You're telling me that the government and the police wouldn't abuse the fact that they could now arrest, charge, and potentially execute people for things they might do, not even things they do. Do you see what I mean? I think it would be very open to abuse very quickly.
I think I get what you're saying, but can you not get charged of attempted murder?
Yeah, but you've got to attempt it, haven't
you? No. So you can get charged with attempted murder. So for me, sending messages and things like that, that is attempted paedophilia. That's what I see it.
Yeah, I can see that, and I can see the logic.
I'm sure that's. I'm not clued up on the laws and things like that, but I'm sure that's not actually a thing. But why shouldn't it be a thing where that should be classed as, all right, so someone's gone with the attempt to stab someone, to kill them, obviously not kill them. Someone's gone with the intent, sorry, beg your pardon, of meeting up with a minor and doing all sorts of a minor, but obviously not happened. Surely that should be classed as attempted paedophilia. And then
I think that's a. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. The other thing with that is I think the police are missing a trick, where you've got all these groups who are working to catch potential predators and paedophiles, right? And I understand the police haven't got the resources to do what all these groups do. But what they should be doing is say you've got one, I don't know, based in Newcastle, right? You've got a group, they've been vetted by the police, they do a very good job of catching potential predators. What you do is you put a detective and a uniformed officer, and you assign them to that group of paedophile hunters, right? And you use them, because all they do is they collect evidence and then they give it to the police. So if you assign a local detective and a local uniformed officer and say, right, that's your group, and they work with them, they catch it as they would normally, but they have police advice to make sure that they
stay within the guidelines.
Yeah, like they don't entrap them and the rest of it, and they stay within the law. And then when it goes to court, you've also got the backup of, there's a police officer who was advising us throughout. And really, like, what are those detectives doing? The CID detectives in most major cities, there's not a great deal going on day to day, other than maybe drug shit and all the other crap. How many times do you see coppers wasting time on ridiculous stuff, but not out for burglaries and they're all the complaints which everyone's got about the police. That would be a better use of one detective, one uniformed officer with each group, like a group within a local area, one in Cardiff, one in Newcastle, whatever it may be. They've all been vetted themselves.
Yeah.
And you just have, and you can't tell me that wouldn't be an effective and cost efficient way of catching these animals.
And the thing is, they don't even necessarily have to do it on a day-to-day basis, do they, really? As long as, they can still do other shit, whatever it is they do. But, like, that could still be, like, a side note for them that they can still do. Do you know what I mean? Still involved in the case and things like that. But they haven't got to commit to it.
Yeah, they haven't got to be there 9. Yeah, exactly that.
5 days a year, like, do you know what I mean? That's a really good point, mate. That's a really, really good shout.
Yeah, but I should be elected as Prime Minister. Just to be honest. I do a better job than fucking Rishi.
I bet Rishi's in that fucking pineapple on pizza. The fucking big-eared bastard that he is.
So, like, tell me some reasons why you think capital punishment wouldn't work.
Why it wouldn't work?
Yeah.
I think you've pretty much covered a lot of it, mate, in fairness. I think it's the main thing is the fact that some poor bagger who's wrong place, wrong time will get into a bit of a sticky situation and maybe lash out or something like that and accidentally, with no intent, kill some poor bugger and, he get killed himself, which I like. The thing is, it's a hard one, mate, because I believe in eye for an eye, but then at the same time, there's certain circumstances where, as you touched upon there's a great example when you're in a nightclub or something like that, and you got some dipshit who's threatening to do X, Y, and Z to your loved ones, family, partners, kids, whatever it may be, and you've just gone fuck this and smashed shit out of them and eventually killed the bastard, and then you end up getting killed yourself. Mate, I'm arguing with myself. You know me. I can't. I gotta be honest with you, mate. I'm too for it to be against it. I think that's my problem.
So it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because, like, I think on the whole, a lot of people, including me and you, would probably be for bringing capital punishment back in some form. But it's trying to find
within some form, mate. Yeah,
there's got to be the right rules, the right balance, and I think that's whereby lies the biggest problem, is trying to find that balance. Because, like I say, the biggest thing is, like, say you're the guy, right? Say you're the executioner, or the guy who does the lethal injections, or you're the guy who does the hanging or whatever, right? That's fine. That's your job, blah, blah, blah. But if you imagine, right, if you did it to someone and then a couple of weeks later or time after, it turns out, like, and you've killed, like, say it's like just an 18-year-old guy, right? And he's been convicted of whatever, which falls in the rules and everything's, as it is. 18-year-old kid, and you're like, oh, fucking hell, well, that's my job. You do it, and then it turns out, a couple of weeks later or whatever, like, evidence comes out, concrete evidence, which says not only did he not do it, but there's no way he could have done it. He was over the other side of the country, and also, he's a lovely guy, had his whole life ahead of him. He's just had his first child, what all the rest of it. Like, you imagine the mental strain on that executioner, for lack of a better word. Like it would be a hard job. And don't get me wrong, there's lots of hard jobs out there, but I think there's no coming back. And I think that's my one thing with it. There's no coming back from it. Like, once it's done, it's done. And I think, unless you've got a foolproof way of, because like people also confess the things they haven't done.
Yeah, it's true.
And so even if you've got like a confession, doesn't always mean that it's like nailed on. That's what happened, or that's the person who did the crime. And I think it's just, I do think like the father in me, the husband in me, just the general, I guess, the humane side of me, I suppose.
Okay, I'm with you.
It's like, I think I would like capital punishment back, because too many times now you see people doing horrible crimes which really devastate families, and they get fucking like a year in prison or something. And I've personally had something within my family where it was something horrific had happened, someone died, and the guy's out now. Like, he killed a child and he's out because reasons. But like, he's not enjoying his life as it is. Like, he's having, I would imagine, all sorts of problems. But like, the fact is, like, he shouldn't be out, and he shouldn't be able to enjoy the things that he took away.
He shouldn't be able to just, if he wants,
from
to
a child.
Stop and
the family. It's not just the child, is it? It's the family. There's the mother that's left behind, the family, the friends, everything which was left behind after he had a drink, and not just drink, got shit faced and nicked a car and killed a child. Like, it's like, to me, there's no coming back from that.
No.
But he's out and enjoying life now, or he's out of prison at least. Whereas, like, that family has never been the same. So it's like, I think we're all sick of seeing these types of sentences where people are hurting, destroying families, and then they're out of prison within a couple of years. Like, we're all fed up of seeing that. But is the answer to like kill him? I don't know, because I just think there's too much room for abuse from people in power. So like, we've all seen like police corruption. We all think the government is corrupt. We all think the judges and things are a bit, this is not what it should be. So like I said about, like, if you start charging people for things they might do or they've talked about doing, it opens up a bit of a can of worms to be abused by the higher ups, the government and stuff. Well, what about if the government decides that someone is a threat, like Julian Assange, right? Let's use him as an example. He's in prison. He's a threat to the government and whatever for WikiLeaks and all the rest of the shit. But what if, like, when they arrested him, what if they said he'd done a murder and they framed him and they used evidence to say he'd done it, and he'd been executed by now, and then it turned out he didn't. They just wanted him gone. Like, it becomes like a legal way to disappear your political enemies, almost, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or like silence the crowd, or like, if you've got like say like in the UK, just as an example, right? Like, people are starting to get pissed off and they with the government because of petrol prices and electric prices and all the rest of it. And then you've got like the Ukraine war, there's all sorts going on in there. So imagine, right, when there was riots a few years ago up in London and stuff, say like there was like started to be like a bit of a revolution, and people fed up with the government, we're going to rise up. Like, how do governments, like, if you look at like, look back at like Hitler and the Nazis and stuff, like, how do they get rid, or how do they push down revolutions? Well, they kill people in public or execute them in public, to show that they're in control and they're the boss. So like, I just think that side of things, there's also a bit of a loophole because I think it's open to abuse. I know that sounds like quite extreme, but like once you start, so say you brought capital punishment back, like once those executions start, that's it. It's open door then. Like they've started again. We've brought back capital punishment, which means if someone is convicted of certain crimes and they fall into the characteristics and they fall into the guidelines of why if you fall in these guidelines or you've done this certain crimes, then you're going to be executed. Then once it starts, like there's nothing to stop police, government, whoever, like even just Joe Blogs off the street. Like say me and you fell out like in a big way and you thought, right, you know what I want? Like I need to get revenge on Simon, so I'm going to frame him for this murder. And you've had enough evidence done to frame me for it, and I meet all the criteria for execution, I can be executed. Like it's, do you see what I mean? It's like it's problematic because it's too easy to end up with people being wrongfully. It's one thing being wrongfully imprisoned for 20 years. There's a whole another thing wrongfully executing someone. But then saying that, mate, I bet you if you ask some people who've been in prison for 20 years for a crime they haven't done, I bet you some of them would probably pick, I wish they just executed me and be done with it. Like, so I don't know. It's what do you think, mate? I just think there's holes in it to bring it back.
Of course, of course, there's gonna be holes in it, mate.
And the fact is, do you trust the people who would make that decision now, like the governments and the MPs and stuff? Do you trust them to fill those holes in a way that is as fair and as sort of, as good as they can be, I suppose?
No, absolutely not. But
we all want to see paedophiles shot. So
yeah, like I said, I think for me, dip the toes in would be the using the pedo hunters and going from there. That's all right. Not even necessarily. I know we're all about capital punishment and things like that. But I think with things like that, with the attempted nonce, I think that's where I would start it. To be honest with you, that is exactly where I would start it. If you can categorically see this person and they've arranged to meet up, and you make sure they do come to meet up with said person who's not 12, and that's where I would start personally. But obviously it's never going to happen, mate. Obviously,
let me give you an example then, mate, right?
Yeah, go.
17-year-old boy. Yeah. Never been in trouble in school. Always been good. Got a few like issues with sort of, he's not like autistic or anything like that, but like has got some additional sort of needs with regards to learning. Has been always stayed out of trouble, been good in school, got good marks in his GCSEs, his A levels, he's just about to start university or whatever. He has been with his girlfriend since year 7. So he's been with her for years. They've suddenly broken up out of the blue because she's going to uni and she's like, he didn't expect it, but she's like, oh, I'm going to university. We're going to break up. He takes it really, really badly and like just, goes off the rails a little bit. It's really, you're devastated. You know what it's like to lose your first girlfriend or your first love. It feels like the world's over, doesn't it? Like, so he's very, his emotions are all over the place. He's all like, whatever. He turns 18 in the meantime. And then where he's like on a bit of a spiral, like, and he's feeling emotional and he doesn't know where he's coming or going, all this, he starts as a release from the internet or whatever, he starts chatting to people, and he comes across someone who's younger than him, and he starts chatting to them or whatever, and then arranges to meet him, whatever. The messages become, more sort of explicit, if you like, and then he goes to meet her, he gets arrested, blah blah blah. But in the meantime, sort of as the after the arrest and stuff, he sort of, he gets his in the gap between the arrest and the court thing. He gets his life back in order. He kind of realizes, it's just a girl or whatever, and he's all back to where he was before, a good bloke or a good child, but just turned into a man. And he feels like he's more like himself. Does he deserve to be executed?
So that's a great shout, and I will bring something else into that then. Maybe add a little stipulation, if you will. The first time you catch him doing that, and you actually physically threaten him and say, right, you naughty boy, we catch you doing that again, dead.
Yeah, I think you could have like a 3 strikes rule or something like that, couldn't you? Whereby
look, everyone makes mistakes. Not that I'm condoning.
It's not a mistake. Yeah, like I say, it's not a mistake which I would make. But if you're, if you're like 17, just turning 18, and things are different, and
if you categorically say to him, like, look, you've royally fucked up big time.
It also, by the way, mate, depends on what the messages are as well. So, like, if it was like general, like, flirting messages or whatever, which then became a bit more sort of explicit, or if it was straight away into explicit, where, like you see some of them where it's like, hi, my name is blah, blah, blah. How old are you? Oh, I'm 15. Oh, that doesn't matter. And the next message is like, photo of my cock or whatever. Like, these people are fucking animals, some of them. But I'm just trying to say that there's always like so for every, like, it's not black and white, I think, is the problem, isn't it? With capital punishment as a whole, is no individual case is black and white.
Of course, mate. Absolutely. But I definitely think on a warning rule would work. Like the fact that if you've, get them to sign do you know what I mean? Something where you've signed and said, right, you've been officially warned. If you get caught doing messaging sexual bits to a minor, then I'm fucked, basically.
What about this then, mate? What about this, right? Instead of killing them, what about if you get convicted of a sex crime of any sort, against a male, a female, a child, whatever, you get castrated. No, you get and I'm on about the ones which physically do it now, like they physically commit physical crime. You get castrated first of all, and then if you continue to do like serious crimes like murder and whatever, then you get executed. So it's like but then again, do you know what the problem with that is if you get castrated
and you're wrongly convicted,
there's obviously that, but also they say you castrated someone, right, because they got convicted of rape or whatever, right, is if they're so miserable because they've been castrated and blah blah and their life's a misery, and they think, oh, do you know what, like I just want to die, what's the easiest way for them to do that? If they can go and hurt someone else and get convicted again, so then almost 2 people die, and it's a very
and they'll have
it's very complex,
so it's quick and painless as well.
I think what they should do is, instead of having, like, you said about like the purge sort of thing, is they should have that, but what it should be is for 1 day a year, victims of these like types of crimes and their families have got 24 hours to. So basically, you find out right at the start of the day. So 8 a.m. when the day starts, they say, right, you're person, so the person who committed the crime against your family or you're the victim of, they are in this city, and they get sent like a GPS thing with a pin saying this is where they are now, and then no one's allowed to move. Like, you're not too close to them. They're like opposite sides of the city, and then at 8 o'clock the time starts. You've got 24 hours to find them, and you can do whatever you want.
Beautiful.
But it's only the victims of the crime and their families. It's not like a free for all.
Yeah, that could be a bit.
The problem with the free for all, and the problem with the free for all, and the problem with the purge, generally, is that all the psychopaths who've been quietly living there, like hiding their psychopathy, whatever. All those ones who've been like psychopaths but living in secret, they all come out to play, don't they?
Yeah, it could get a bit fucking messy. I just need to grab my charger sec, so
yeah, that's all right, mate. So yeah, as always, guys, leave your comments. We're always looking for your comments in the chat and in the video below when I eventually make them public, which I will eventually. I just keep forgetting. Always enjoy these big debate shows because we get to chat about these quite serious subjects, but we have a laugh and that as well. But I'm very interested in capital punishment, like what people think, because I think most people think, yeah, capital punishment, pedophiles, capital punishment is like the natural thing, like sex offenders and stuff, natural thing, cut their fucking balls off, kill them, whatever. But actually, it becomes so complex because you've got to categorically prove that it's 100% the right thing or the right conviction. It's just problematic. So I'm interested in what people got to say. Drop them in the old chat and the comments and stuff.
You still hear me?
Yeah. Does capital punishment, if it was a thing, like if they brought it back, would it be a deterrent against violent crime more than what we have now?
Does that work?
Me? Yeah, does it work as a deterrent?
Surely it would it not?
I think, like, I do think at the moment there's this attitude within just people generally that think that no matter what crime you commit, you're going to get off with or you can talk yourself, or you can do a deal, or you can give evidence, or you can confess or whatever and get like a cushy sort of deal for your conviction. I think that's a widespread opinion that people think the justice system and the sentences which are handed out are not good enough. So I think you'd think that if you could be executed for certain crimes, then it should be at least a little bit of a deterrent, wouldn't it? But I also think, mate, that there's certain people who commit certain crimes who are fucking animals, and there's just something broke in them and they can't help themselves. So no matter what the punishment is, they will always commit those crimes because they are just broken.
Do you think people are born like that?
I think, yeah, like genuine psychopaths, I think, are born like I think there's some people like like some people obviously are a product of their upbringing, a product of their own trauma and stuff as well. Like if you've been abused or you've been beaten and had horrific things done to you, whether as a child or as you've got older, if you've had horrific things done to you, I think there's a chance. I wouldn't say it's more likely, but I think there's a chance that you could end up going the other way. Thankfully, the majority don't, react to trauma that way. But,
maybe a mask, mate, but I think that's just a fucking cop out.
I don't know, mate. I
maybe
think
I've not lived it, mate. Maybe I've had
I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because if you've
and stuff,
if you've had if you've been abused day in, day out, and don't get me wrong, I don't think it's it's not a set thing, because I know people I know few people who had that sort of upbringing. One of them in particular, like really extreme bad upbringing with stuff like that, and he's an upstanding member of society. He's a good person and whatever. Like, but so it doesn't necessarily. I'm not saying that trauma doesn't equal that you might do those things, but I think some people who do those things can very likely or could have trauma or abuse within their life. But also, I think there's people who are just born, like sociopaths is obviously one sort of level of it, but like an out-and-out psychopath, which I think is quite fairly rare, but like out-and-out psychopaths, they feel nothing. Like they are like...
just how their brain's wired.
Yeah. And like, the thing is, I do think that people who are genuine psychopaths, they should pick up them more in childhood and teens and stuff like that, because they do certain things and they behave a certain way, which means that we should be able to pick that up earlier. Now, again, you cannot lock someone away if they haven't done anything. So I don't think you can just say, right, I've just diagnosed little Timmy. He's a psychopath. He's 10 years old. He's definitely a psychopath. He ticks all the boxes. So we're going to chuck him in a mental hospital for the rest of his life, age 10. Like, you can't do that.
But what do you do, though?
We also shouldn't be waiting for these people to hurt someone, kill someone, whatever.
Absolutely.
It's I admit it's horrific and it's difficult, isn't it? It's very there's so many different aspects. Like, I interviewed this person, Chris, before, who's got multiple personalities disorder, or DID, and like, they were as just fucking, like, it was really interesting because I was getting to learn about it, like speaking to them, and they knew like that I didn't really know anything about it. I wanted to learn about it, so they didn't take offense to it. I was asking questions and stuff. But like, to have DID, is my understanding that you literally have to have been or had trauma so bad and so horrific that your mind literally like splinters itself to protect itself. So like, it'll create a whole new personality to shield the base personality from the abuse. And like, when you think of it like that, like, the human mind is a fucking mental thing, mate. It's so fucking like complex and stuff. But like, if you've got DID and one of your personalities commits a crime, but so say Rob Boyle, right? Say you've got like 5 personalities. Rob Boyle is your main personality, but you don't know anything about what Jeff does when Jeff takes over your body, right? You know he exists because people have told you, but you have no idea what happens when Jeff's at the wheel. And then Jeff goes and kills 6 people. Just goes and shoots a load of people, right? Should you be held accountable for that?
Yeah.
Like, should you be sent to prison and for the rest of your life for something that you had no idea about? You don't know anything about. You haven't witnessed it. You weren't involved in it, but effectively you were.
It's incredible. I find it really incredible that
like, what can you do with that? Like, I think it's such a, like, that's so complex. Like, how can I prosecute you, Rob Boyle, because Jeff has killed 6 people, but he was just in control of your body and you know nothing about it? Like, but I can't let you go free either because you've killed 6 people.
No.
And because you've got Jeff within you, the likelihood is it'll happen again. So you've got to go to at least a psychiatric hospital or whatever. But again, like, your life's over then, isn't it? Like, for something that you effectively didn't do. It's mad, mate.
It's so interesting, mate. It's so interesting, stuff like that. On that note, I suppose it's probably a bit of a shitty time to bring it, But did you see Kanye West's interview with Piers Morgan?
I haven't seen it. I've seen clips of it, but I haven't seen it.
He's not. I can't stand Kanye West. I fucking can't stand Piers Morgan, in fairness. But Kanye West showing signs that he has got split personality disorder, or he was off his tits on that interview. He weren't with it at all. The personalities he was jumping between, the emotions he was flipping between during that segment was unbelievable, mate. I watched the full interview earlier, and it was unbelievable.
So I haven't watched it. I will watch it, but like, do you know
what? Yeah, give it a watch, bud.
Do you know what frustrates me about that, Matt? Right, is I've seen several people within media and online and stuff, different people saying, something's going on with Kanye West. He's not well. Like, I've seen loads of people saying it, right? And he's already got well publicized that he's got bipolar disorder, yeah? Which is like literally extreme one to the other constantly if it's not medicated and it's not treated properly. He's already said that he's not taking his medication because it makes him put on weight and stuff, right? So as a humanity, right, we know that this guy is bipolar. We know that he's off his medication. We know that because of that, he's going to be fucking all over the place. So what do? We give him a fucking we give him a fucking press put on fucking Piers Morgan of all people, and all these other different shows he's done in America and whatever, saying all this shit, right? It's the equivalent of, like, say, I'm trying to think of like a celebrity who's fucking like got schizophrenia, but I can't think. I know there's a couple, but like Kanye West, mate, right? I think it's disgusting that they're giving him, not that they're giving him a platform, because obviously I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve a platform because he's ill. What I'm saying is like, if we know that he is not doing well at the moment, why are we putting him out there to say all these things, which, you know, he might regret lots of them?
Yeah.
So you are. So, you know, right, you are then. Aaron Carter, yeah, who used to be in Backstreet Boys, is it? I think.
Who?
I think his name's Aaron Carter.
All right, go for it.
He used to be in Backstreet Boys. He's schizophrenic. But he's got schizophrenia, but he's treated for it, right? So if he was off his meds, right, and he was just like in a free for all where he's hearing voices and he's frenetic and he's paranoid and the rest of it, right? And then I put him on my podcast, right? And I just say, you know, I let him spout all sorts of theories and stuff like that. Like, is that his fault or am I a cunt? Because to me, what we should be doing, or like, there must be someone in the world, right, who is close enough to Kanye West who can say to him, mate, take a step back. Let's not go on TV or whatever. And if he won't listen, then there's other things you can do, like you can get people sectioned and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that he should be. I'm saying that would be an option if I was a friend of his. But also, people like, I wouldn't expect anything different from Piers Morgan because he's a fucking cunt who likes to exploit people. But like the TV companies, the production companies, the media companies who were involved in keep putting him out there and on TV, who know full well he is not well, they should be held accountable. And God forbid, mate, right, is if from the backlash for this, right, you know, like, so with, like I just said, we're bipolar. It's like you're up here and then you're down there. So God forbid, mate, right, is when he gets the fallout from all this and people are, you know, calling him the worst names and he's the worst person under the sun.
Well, he was racist
and when
in the interview as well.
Well, there you go. But
and
like,
he was.
But what I mean is, right, when he hits rock bottom, he's going to be very extreme rock bottom. So if he, you know, worst comes to worst, and touch wood, I hope it doesn't happen. But like, say he does something which he can never come back from, like he kills himself or something, which is not out of the question. Like the man's
Nope.
bipolar and he's off his medication and he thinks the whole world's against him. Like, if that happens, in my opinion, Piers Morgan, those media companies, anyone who's given him an interview, knowing if it can be proven that they know he's off his medication, they know that he's, not doing well or whatever, and he's not himself, and they've still put him on TV to be ridiculed and abused and to say things which are not nice, then they should be charged with a crime, in my opinion, because I think it's fucking abhorrent, mate. I really do. They feel like it's like taking advantage of someone who's mentally ill.
Surely, maybe I'm being too extreme, but maybe for me that should go down more as manslaughter. If he ended up killing himself on the back of this, should these companies not be charged with manslaughter then?
Yeah, I'm sure there'd be something like that, mate. Some sort of
crime. It wouldn't happen, mate.
No, of course it won't. They got too much money, too much control.
Like I said, mate, I fucking can't stand Kanye West, but I would never wish harm on him. I love his music.
Yeah, I don't like him. I think he's a weird cat. Like, even before all this, I thought he's a weird cat.
Way before all this, he used to irritate the fuck out of me.
But I think he's one of the most talented people out there.
He's a brilliant artist, mate. Brilliant artist. But you're absolutely right, mate. I think we live in a world now where we shouldn't be like exploiting people for things like that. And it was a difficult one to watch, mate. Like I said, I'd recommend you giving it a watch when you get time. It was, it was a bit uncomfortable, mate. I'll give it that. I'll leave it at that.
You know what it reminds me of, mate? Back in the day when they would have people in circus, like little people,
hairy women
ladies
and all that,
and all the rest of it.
Bearded women and stuff.
Yeah, like people who had deformities or whatever, they would put them out there, wouldn't they, to basically be ridiculed and whatever. And we look back at that and we say, oh, it's it's horrible, it's horrendous, etc. But what's the difference? We're putting him out there when we all know that he's not well and he's not taking his medication. And then everyone's just abusing him. And look, I'm sure he said some fucking horrible stuff, but I don't think people quite understand, or certainly people who have not experienced seeing someone have a mental breakdown, whether it's schizophrenia or bipolar or anything like that, or
just mental health issues, mate.
Even people who just have a nervous breakdown through stress,
when they break.
Yeah, when you break, mate, you don't say things that you would normally say. You don't do things that you would normally do. And they're wheeling him out for another interview and another this. And it's fucking hell.
Yeah. No, absolutely agree, bud. Absolutely agree.
Right. Just to finish off then, last 5 minutes, I want to ask your opinion on this then. There's a bit of a debate going on online at the moment about child-free flights. So there's no commercial airline at the moment which offers child-free flights. And it all started with this guy shared a video on TikTok. He had a 29-hour flight from New Zealand to Berlin, and there was kids screaming and the rest of it. And you're always going to get a split, aren't you? So people who've got kids will have a go at this guy saying, you don't know what it's like, blah 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 blah. And then people who've not experienced having kids or haven't got kids are like, oh yeah, I just want to have my flight and I want to go there and I want to do this and blah blah blah. I think if you can offer either child-free flights or you can offer a section of the plane which is child-free, where if it's cut off from the other part of a plane, then they're great. I think that's great. I think that kind of helps everyone. But if you're one of these cunts who sits next to a mother and she's got a baby with them, and your first thought is, oh my God, how difficult is this flight going to be for me? then you are a massive fucking tool. It's just as simple as that, like, because it's like that. And this is why I fucking hate people. Is like everyone's got this like selfish attitude. It's always like, oh, how am I gonna get through this flight? It's like, what happened to, oh bless her, this woman's got to fucking go on this 12-hour flight and she's got a 6-month-old. Like, that's what I would think. I would think, Jesus, I remember the days of having a 6-month-old. But I would think now, if I got on, I'd be like, God, I'm glad I got teenagers now, because I remember what it was like to have a 6-month-old, and the last thing I'd want to do is be on a flight to Australia with a 6-month-old or a 2-year-old or whatever. But people have lost that like the empathy to just see things from other people's point of view. They're all like, I'm the main character of my story. It's like, fuck off, you fucking asshole.
Oh,
I just don't like you, mate.
No, let's be honest, mate. I would never. Mine younger than yours, my two, but I would be bang up for a child-free flight, or like you said, it's a great for a section off. I think that's brilliant,
mate. I'm a father, and I would love if I was booking a flight now. I'd go on the child-free flight or child-free section.
Dude. Well, your youngest is what, like 14, 15
13,
now? Yeah.
The incessant questions.
Do you know what, right, mate? I'd let my missus go in with the child ones with my 7 and 5-year-old. I'll go child free.
Yeah, go drink champagne in the child free zone.
But like, we'll allow smoking in our area as well. So
there you
go. A beer and chill. She's there with all the other mums and all that, crying their eyes out and all that. No, like, I don't think it's a bad idea, mate, to have something like that.
I don't know where I stand, like, with it. So, like, this guy said, like, honestly, if there was kid-free flights and kid flights, I'd pay extra to have kid-free flights. And then one person said they shouldn't let kids on flights which are longer than 4 hours. And it's like, fuck off.
Don't be so stupid.
Restrict people's travel
because
they've got kids. How about you help the person entertain their child, innit? Like,
yeah. That would be my go-to, mate, to be honest. All right, the novelty might wear off after a little while. But like, if I had someone next to me, like a mother or whatever, or care or whatever they may be, and they got a little
you'd be smiling at the baby, or you'd be.
Like, I love kids, in fairness. Yeah. Sometimes they can't, but I'd have a little laugh and joke. No, I said novelty might wear off after a few minutes, but you would.
But then equally, mate, right? You know, if you were sat,
thing, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and if you were sat with your boy, right, like, or your kids, and you were telling them, like, go on, sit still, mate. You know, just watch a film or just be quiet because you're going to bother people or whatever. Like, they might listen to you for a bit, but they'd probably, the novelty of listening to your voice would wear off. If a stranger starts speaking to them and starts entertaining them, they'd probably listen to them.
I show her my CRB so she knows I'm cleared, and then you know what I mean, and seeing the little one there, like, do you know what I mean?
But mate, it's not as easy. Like, these people don't understand, like, especially with a baby, like under 1. Some of the comments I've seen, like, just tell you, just shut your child up, and it's like, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, my 6-month-old, I've told him to be quiet. He just won't listen.
But what I would add to that, though, mate, is
there is also parents out there who will let, like, 2 or 3, 4-year-olds just run around and be nightmares.
Not even that side. What I don't, this may be controversial potentially, but what I don't agree with is parents taking their kids on holidays when they're less than, like, 1 year of age, for example. I don't think
pointless, isn't it?
What's the point? Just because fucking Shaniqua and Kai goes to fucking IB for every September. We've had a kid now. They're going to take their kid abroad as well. I don't think they should. I think it's like,
the only way I would say,
the kids, like,
the only way I would do that is probably if I took, like, if you were taking, like, your in-laws or someone with you who can literally there's always like a parent or a grandparent who can take the baby off into like a quiet area somewhere which is air conditioned or whatever, and like there's you haven't got to constantly be in hot places. But it's just not
fair on a child, bro. For that,
yeah,
it's not.
I agree with you, mate. I do agree with you. I just think like, and look, you know, like I've never really been able to understand it, but I do see them as like you see some people they just let their kids run riot, like, and like for me, like whenever I was in like a public place with my kids, like if we go on a bus or a train or whatever, like I'm so aware of other people that I probably was too harsh on my kids in terms of what I allowed them to do. Like I wouldn't let them get up and wander about because you might disturb people because kids they won't just wander about. They're like wander about and they're like, "What are you doing? What are you reading? What are you watching?" Because that's what kids do. So I would more likely to make them sit like on the inside of me and do everything I can to keep them there and entertained. So like,
I'm like that with my kids. If we go to the supermarket or something like that, though, I'm like I have that mentality of like just don't
people are going shopping. Like, yeah, people are going shopping or they're doing this or they've come out to have food. They don't want to listen to you running around and I mean, I do. I was doing that with my kids, like probably up until like just before COVID, like and they were, you know, like 15, 13 and 11 then. And I'd still be saying to them, stop arguing. We're in a restaurant or we're in a pub or whatever.
Yeah, don't be
we're having food. Like people don't want to listen to you lot arguing and fighting and whatever. And they don't want to listen to me going on at you. Like, so, but some people, unfortunately, just let it just run wild, don't they?
Yeah.
Because it's laziness, mate, really. Let's be honest with you.
Of course it is, mate.
They can't be bothered, so they just let the kids do what they want. Like, but it's the same as going back to capital punishment. It's the same as that in that for every person who lets their kids run wild, there's a single mother or a single father who's struggling to bring their kids up right, but they get labelled with the same shit that all the ones that can't be bothered and let their kids just go out in the street. And like I see some kids out by my in-laws, like younger than 3, mate, just out in the street on their own.
Jesus fucking Christ!
Like,
good fucking God,
drives me nuts, mate, because I see them and I think like no, not just they might be with their older brother or sister who's like 7 or 8 or something, and it's like I just think one, you're too young to be outside on your own, but 2, like they're so young that they're not aware of the cars and the road and the potential danger. So like an 8-year-old knows, oh, there's a car coming, I'll stay on the curb, or if the ball goes in the road, I'll leave the ball most of the time. But like you got to be aware. But like when I drive up there, I'm like,
God, that's terrifying.
Mate, when I drive up there, I'm terrified all the time, like because they just appear from nowhere, and it's just
unbelievable,
like,
mate.
But
hey, my boy's 7 years of age, and I got a little bit of a front guy. We got a basketball hoop out there. And he plays basketball, whatever. Sound. I'm reluctant, and it's like, bear in mind, it's good way away from the main road, wherever. I'm reluctant to just leave him outside there by himself doing that. And you can say, Sarah, he's not a stupid boy. He knows the roads and things like that. But I'm reluctant just to let him outside there doing that, let alone fucking 3 years of age just wandering around now. Jesus God.
I bet you see him in nappies, mate, just wandering about like.
Oh my God.
My kids are like, I live on a main road, I do. So like we've been up here about 10 years, right? And like the road scared me. But luckily, by the time we moved up here, my kids were a bit older. Like I think the youngest was about 8 or something. No, he must have been younger than that. He must have been about like 6. But I think his brothers were older, so there was always like, it was not just me and my missus keeping him from the road, but also he had like his 2 older brothers and that. But like our dog, God bless her, she's still going somehow. She's so old, it's unreal. Like, but she, a couple of years before COVID, she just made a run out the road, like, and just ran straight into the road, got hit by a car because the cars just go fucking bombing up. And I was like, there's no way she's surviving that. Fuck, you know. It was horrific. But somehow she just got cuts and bruises. Like, but I felt so sorry for the woman. Because the woman who hit her, like, she couldn't have done anything.
No.
Like, she I don't think she was going particularly fast because I think the time of the day. And, like, the dog just ran out, like, just into the street, and she hit the dog. And, like, you could see she was absolutely mortified because
I bet she was.
My oldest boy was there. So, like, she could see his reaction as well. And, like, it was horrific.
Oh.
But, yeah, my dog's still going now. It's the happy end to that story.
Oh, thanks, Pat. That's a lovely way to end.
Indeed.
We'll leave it there then.
Yeah, nice one, guys and girls, for watching. Leave your comments in the comments section. Tell me who you prefer, Reese or Rob.
Rob, obviously. Can I just leave you on this though?
No.
Pineapple dumplong on pizza. Bye.
Robert is a Tory.